Hey everybody, welcome back. In this episode, we're going to go over the different types of loops that we can use in C++. So we're going to start off with the while loop. So one thing that you might have realized as I've been doing these demos is that I have to close the demo out and start it over every time I want to try a different value. So if I try and run this again, and I want to type in like 1. So we got our message for Monday. Uh, it just says that, and then it closes, and then I have to close out of this and start all over. So what I want to do is get things to a point where we don't need to do that anymore, where we can just keep the program running, and then whenever we decide to quit, we can quit that way. So let's modify this program a little bit to do that. So the first thing we're going to need to do, we have to understand that what a while loop is. So a while loop is basically like that. Inside of here, though, is the condition. Okay. So the while loop isn't anything that you haven't seen before. It's just like there's a condition here. And the condition is, as long as that condition is true, we're going to keep doing the code in here over and over and over. So first thing I'm going to do is say bool, let's say bool quit. I like to do it this way. Bool quit equals false. And then we're going to say while not quit. So remember the exclamation point is not. So while we have not quit, we're going to keep doing all of the code that we want to do. So just put that right there, and we're good. Okay. That will make sure that this actually continues to be executed over and over and over again. So now what we can do here, what we want to do here is, let's clean things up just a little bit. Let's say like cout, please enter the day of the week. And L. Okay. So, and down here, we'll do cout, press yes to, no, try again. We'll say yes, no. Something like that. It's up to you how you want to do this. But then we'll say character, char, whatever you want to call it. Call it response. It doesn't really matter. We'll say it's equal to nothing. Can we do that? I don't think we can do that. We can make it space. There we go. Then we'll cn response. Okay, so now we're going to get a response from the user. And then we'll do a switch case on the character, because you can do that too. You can do switch cases on ints and enums, which are ints, and on characters. So we'll do switch on the character, and we'll say case yes. I think we also want to do case y. Can we do that? Or no, it has to be in quotes like that. There we go. So basically, for an uppercase y or a lowercase y, we'll do one thing. And for uppercase n, lowercase n, we'll do something else. Actually, you know what's silly? It doesn't really matter, but default. Like, ultimately, these are going to do the same thing. But, so, if it's yes, then we'll say quit equals true. And if it's no, then we'll say quit equals false. Actually, we don't even need to do anything there, honestly, because we set it to false at the beginning. So really, we don't need to do anything like that. So yeah, we can just keep it like that, I guess. At which point, maybe the switch case doesn't even matter, but I'll keep it there because we had that last time. So okay, so just so you can see what it's like to switch case on a character. So yeah, I think we're good. So let's see what happens. Please enter day of the week. Let's do 2. Try again. Yes. No, it messed up. What happened? Let's debug, find out. So this is how we debug stuff. You can, in Visual Studio, you can click on the sidebar here, and it'll put a little red dot, and that is your breakpoint. So whenever the code gets to that point, it'll stop everything. We'll see what we can find out. So enter the day of the week. Let's do 2. Try again. Yes. So we have cEnd response, and it does go in here, so that's right. So quit is true. Quit is true. Okay, so that worked. Oh, duh. Okay, man, I didn't think about that at all. I typed in Y. Wait. Oh, this needs to be the other way. Shoot. See, okay. If we try again, okay, no. It has to be this way. Okay. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay. Bonus points if you caught that before I did. So, but I got to teach you a little bit about debugging. So basically the problem was that we want quit to be true when the user types in no and not yes. Okay, so our logic was fine. The coding part was fine. It's just okay. So we'll type in 2. I want to try again. There we go. Okay, now we're good. Enter the day of the week. Let's do 3. Nothing special. Okay, try again. 1. Okay, cool. And we can do this as many times as we want. And as soon as I press N, or any other key for that matter, let's try X. No. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Okay, well, never mind. Yeah, right. So, that's interesting. Well, maybe I do need it this way then. Let's do a default. If we type in any other key, then we do need to set quit equal to true. But then we don't want to do that if it's yes, so we want to quit equals false when it's yes. So I guess we do need it this way, because I spoke too soon. Okay, this is definitely going to work. Okay, so let's type in 1. Let's type yes. 2. Let's try X. Bam, there we go. Perfect. Okay. By the way, if you have trouble coding stuff, like don't get too discouraged. Don't give up. I make mistakes even, so you'll make plenty of mistakes when you're coding, and the perseverance is what pays off. So now let's cover real quick the DoWhile loop while we're at it. So DoWhile is basically, well, it's do, and then you put a while down here, and we'll say not quit like that. You'd want to use this loop if you always want to do it once, and maybe even, like, I personally don't use this one very often because I don't really see a point to it. Like, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between these two, but no matter what, the DoWhile loop will always execute at least once. The problem is, if you have to define this variable outside of that scope anyway, see, it's not going to know what that is. So your condition in the while loop is a little more constrained unless you put the variable outside of here, at which point, at which point it's like, why not just do this? But you might have some situations where you want to always do one iteration of the loop and then check the condition. In those situations, you'd want to use DoWhile, and technically that applies to our case right now too. So I could do this and it would work just the same. So give that one quick run here, and then I'll do one more type of loop here. So 1, try again, yes. 2, try again, yes. And then 3, let's not try again. Okay, good. So, okay, that's the DoWhile loop. One other type of loop that we can show off real quick. I don't want to get too deep into it, but I'll do it at the very beginning. The other type of loop we can do is the for loop. And the for loop is very similar to a while loop, except it's going for a certain number of times. So, for example, I'll show it off a little bit. This is a little more complicated, but not too bad. So we'll say for int I equals 0, I is less than, let's do 3, I plus plus. Okay. So what this means is, we're going to create a variable called I, and we're going to set its value to 0. So this part of the for loop is your initial part. You need to initialize your iteration variable, whatever you can call it. Then this is the condition for when we stop the loop. So the I is going to be less than 3. That's when we stop. So basically we're saying run this loop for 3 times, and then this is the operator that lets us increment the variable. So we know this is the increment operator. This is I plus 1. So basically what this is saying is create a variable called I that starts at 0. Every time we run the loop, we increment that I by 1, and then we stop the loop when this condition is false. So in other words, when I is not less than 3, that is when we stop the loop. So, or basically, in other words, as long as I is less than 3, then we go again. So we can do cout. We can do cout I just for an example, and there you go. That's all you need, and then it should show that 0, 1, 2. So that's the value of I before we even get to the day of the week stuff. I'll probably show off some more useful situations where you'd use a for loop later on. This is mainly so that if you know the number of times you want to loop over something, you can just put it right here. You can also do that with variables. So like int, number of loops equals 5, and then I can do that to that. And then I can also say like int starting number equals 1. So if I want to go from 1 to 5, I could do that too. I don't know why it's giving that error there. Yeah, that's Visual Studio for just freaking out. I don't know what that red line's all about. But yeah, so you can see that we start at 1 and we go up until we hit 5. We don't include 5 in that loop. Okay. You can also modify this part if you want to do something crazy like, I plus equals 2. You can do that, or you can subtract values as well. So depending on your situation, maybe you only want to print every other value. So that's when you would do it by 2, or if you want to go count backwards or whatever, or you can multiply it. So basically anything, you can do anything to that I value there. If we set number of loops to like 50, and if we multiply I by 2, we can try that and see what happens there. See what numbers we get. Yeah, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. So you can play around with that a little bit if you want. There's not really, it doesn't really fit too well into this program that I wrote down here for the while loop, but yeah, for the most part, the standard format you'll see is I equals 0, I is less than number of loops, and then I plus plus. That's typically what you'll use whenever you create a for loop. So just get that in your head, and you'll be able to write these for loops in no time. And I'll show them off in a little bit actually when we cover arrays and deal with that kind of stuff. But yeah, that'll be it for today's lesson. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, let me know, and like and subscribe. Thanks. See ya.